Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Absolutely the Truth with Chantal from the Rora Project. Episode 5, When Travel is Easier Than Healing. Recently, I've had to do the dreaded upgrade of passports. And for anybody that knows that applying for or renewing a passport in the UK has always been challenging, understandably. Safety and security is important, but something I've found recently is that actually accessing a therapist for mental health support is a lot more difficult than getting an exit ticket right out of here. Let that sink in. Is it easier to get official government permission to leave the country than it is to get a professional for your mental health or your child's? And once you notice that, you can't unnotice it. So today we're talking about why it's easier to access a passport than mental health support, what that says about society, and why this comparison is actually kind of terrifying when you think about it. The passport process. Let's walk through that. You'll fill out a form online, you'll take a photo at a booth, and upload its code. You send off your documents, your birth certificate, any documentation that proves you are who you say you are. You pay the fee, less than a week it's done and posted out to you, tracked and everything. Sometimes a couple of weeks, but most of the time it's a lot faster, especially if you expedite it. And boom, you're cleared for international travel. You can cross borders, you can enter foreign countries, you can exist legally on another continent. That's huge. Now let's talk about mental health support. You realise you're struggling, that alone takes courage. Then you start Googling your symptoms, or that then leads you down a rabbit hole of looking into a therapist near you. You find 20 results, you call 5 of them. 3 don't answer. 1 says they don't take your insurance. 1 says their next opening is in 4 months. Sometimes they say you don't meet criteria at all, despite being not okay. That's not help. That's a rain check on your sanity. The waiting game. And here's the part no one talks about enough. When you're struggling, mentally, time feels different. A week feels like a year, a month feels like a lifetime. So when someone says, we can schedule you in for April 2030. That feels like good luck surviving until then. We don't say that out loud, but that's what it feels like. Imagine if A&Es worked this way. Yeah, you're bleeding, but we can see you in 6 weeks. That would be absurd. But the mental health, we shrug and go, yeah, that's just how it is. Why is that just how it is? The irony. You can get a passport to leave the country, but you can't get support to stay alive in it. You can cross borders easier than you can cross into a therapist's office. We've built systems for movement, but not for healing. We've built systems to help people travel, but not to help people cope. And I'm not saying passports aren't important and that the process shouldn't be easily accessible and manageable. It should be. But what I'm saying is, it's strange that escaping geographically is easier than escaping despair. That's not a coincidence, that's priorities. So why is this happening? There are a few reasons. First, not enough providers. We don't have enough therapists, counsellors, psychologists, paediatrics to meet demand. Second, if you're lucky enough to have an insurance system, most of it isn't included. A therapist might exist, but not through your insurance. It comes out of your purse. It's not just a price, it's your time. And thirdly, stigma. We still treat mental health like an optional upgrade instead of basic necessity. Like it's nice if you can get it, not you deserve this. And lastly, burnout. Mental health professionals are burning out too, just as much as us and parents, which means fewer openings, longer waiting lists, and more people falling through the cracks. It becomes a cycle, and the people who pay the price are the ones already struggling. I know people who finally worked up the courage to ask for help, and then got put on hold, or even rejected. I was one of those people. One friend told me they called their offices 5 times in one day. 5. And every single one said, "We're not accepting new patients." By the time they found someone, they were emotionally exhausted from searching itself. Another person told me they waited 3 months for an appointment, only to have it cancelled the day before. That's not just inconvenient, that's devastating. It feels like confrontation of your worst fear, that I don't matter enough to be helped, that they don't matter enough to be helped. We live in a culture that praises productivity and punishes vulnerability. We say push through, stay busy, be grateful, other people have it worse. We don't say, are you okay? And I mean it. So people wait until things are unbearable before seeking help. And when they finally do, the system says, cool, please wait. That's not support. That's delay. And delay is dangerous. The comparison between passports and mental health support is something uncomfortable about our values. We fund borders, we fund security, we fund systems of control, but we underfund care. We prepare people to work, we prepare people to travel, we prepare people to produce, but not to process their emotions, not to survive grief or manage trauma, not to heal. We treat mental health like a personal problem of a public responsibility. Like figure it out on your own, but no one heals in isolation. Honestly, if you framed it like a commercial, it would sound ridiculous. Need help with your anxiety? Sorry, try again in 3 months. You're autistic? Okay, we'll do an assessment to prove that you're autistic, but let's wait 6 years. But if you want to leave the country, sure, here's a passport, provided within 7 days. One requires stability, vulnerability, and trust. The other needs a photo where you look miserable. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe the government just trusts people who look sad in their passport photos. This isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Untreated mental health struggles affect relationships, work, physical health, safety, and communities. When people can't get help, they don't magically get better on their own. They cope in unhealthy ways. They isolate, they give up. And that's not because they're weak, it's because the system is slow and unrecognisable. So what could change? We could train more providers, fund mental health like we fund emergency services, simplify insurance systems, and normalise asking for help early. We could make therapy accessible the way we make libraries accessible. We could treat mental health like public infrastructure, not a luxury. Imagine a world where getting mental health support was a routine as getting a passport. That would be revolutionary. If you're listening to this and struggling, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not being dramatic, you're not weak, and you're not broken. You're responding to a system that makes it hard to be okay. And if you're waiting for help right now, your pain still counts. Even while you wait, even if no one has called you back yet. And if someone you love is struggling, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay. Not to fix, not to solve, just stay. It shouldn't be easier to leave the country than to get help staying in it alive. But here we are. So let's talk about it. Let's question it. Let's demand better. Because mental health is not a side quest. It's not the main story. And if you can create a system that lets people cross oceans, we can create one that helps people survive in their own minds. Thank you for listening. This has been Chantal from the Rora Project. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you enjoy listening to me rant on, no BS, no shame, just the truth, absolutely the truth, then please share. Until next time, bye-bye.